Alright, so on this cold April day with a lot of snow and not much to do outside, started messing around with stuff in the basement and pulled this up, started messing with it, and got some problems with the volume and the tone control here where it's kind of scratchy. So I'm thinking I can get it to work again if I take it apart and spray a little contact cleaner in there, but I think this radio is from like the early 90s. It's got the shortwave TV band, but that's no good since it went to digital, weather band, and I think you can pick up like airplanes and stuff like that. It's got a bunch of different bands, kind of neat. Alright, so when you pull it apart, if you flip it over to the back side here, there's actually arrows, and it's probably, you're not going to be able to see it on the camera, I'm sure. Well, maybe. And you can kind of make it out. There's a little tiny arrow where each one of the screws are. So you have one here, one at the bottom, one in the middle, and then you have one at the opposite two corners, and then there's also one inside the battery compartment that's a little bit smaller. So just make sure you get all those, and then once you get all those out, we'll split it apart. Alright, so I got it apart here. So like I was saying with the controls, I've worked on older stereos before. I'm not an expert in electronics, I've just kind of messed with it. So I got two different things I'm going to try here. The stuff I originally used I ran out of, and I think it was from Radio Shack. So I got this, which is made by WD-40. It says it's a electrical contact spray. And then I also have this, which is made by Gunk, and it's also a type of there we go, electronic cleaner. Alright, so I'm going to use the WD-40 just because it has a straw on it. And what I'm going to do here is a very low budget operation here. I'm going to just spray a little bit of this in here, and hopefully we don't wreck anything. Obviously I don't have it plugged in. And supposedly this says it's safe for circuit boards. So, and then what I'm going to do is just kind of work the knob back and forth. I think that's what I did with my head. Like I said, an older stereo, I did kind of the same thing. So I'm going to spray a little bit more in here since we got it all apart, and just kind of work that back and forth. It's definitely taking some of the grease or lubrication of the switch out, because the switch is going much easier now. So, or it's cleaning the gunk off. Same thing. So one is a volume control, and one is I don't even know what the other one does. What does the other one do? Oh, it's like your tone, bass, and treble type. So yeah, whatever was in there, it has just cleaned it out, because this switch goes really super easy now. And I don't know, I may spray down this whole circuit board just with that stuff. If it's a cleaner, it shouldn't hurt it. Ooh, man, stuff stinks. Alright, so I'm just gonna kind of let that sit for now. Alright, so I let everything dry off. While I was waiting, I actually pulled these knobs off and just kind of cleaned them up with some Windex. So we're gonna try it out, see what we get. It's on. Here's our volume. Oh, that's a good sign. It's not crackling. Let's see if we can tune something in.
Conditions are expected until. In addition, areas of poor visibility are likely. Winds gusting as high as 25 miles an hour will cause
weather station, alright.
Oh, I'm a slaughter like I'm Jason.
Jeez, that's loud. Let's put it on shortwave. See if we can get anything on that. pretty quiet. Not getting anything. Alright, so I was messing around with the radio again here, and I can't get anything on the SW, which is like the shortwave bands, which is up here 1 and 2. I got it selected, so I'm using the radio, or using the batteries instead of plugging it in, because you get less noise from the AC line or whatever. So anyway, what I've been doing was, in the house I had this 1/8 inch jack off like a headphone, and I've been plugging it into the antenna part here, and then I just ran a piece of like copper wire above the curtains, and I could pick up a lot more, but it still was pretty fuzzy. So I did some research on the internet and found out you can actually run like a long piece of wire outside and use that as an antenna, so I'll show you what I did. Alright, so I bought a roll of this fencing wire. It's 17 gauge, and there's 250 feet on this roll. I think it was like $4, and that's aluminum wire. It's never supposed to rust, so that's going to be my the antenna, I guess, or your long wire. And then I bought these porcelain insulators. They are got like a lag screw on them. I just drilled a hole into the tree. So I don't know all of the workings of shortwave. I'm not one of those guys. If you go on YouTube, there's a lot of people that try to explain it in simple terms for those of us that don't know, and they get carried away with it. Like, those type of people that are into shortwave radio and amateur band, they just can't seem to simplify it. They seem like they have to use all this like techno mumbo jumbo jargon that like someone who isn't into that's not going to understand. And I don't know if it's because they think they feel smarter using those terms, or if they just can't simplify it. So I'm going to simplify it here. So if you're looking for a shortwave antenna, this is about as simple as I can explain it. So I bought these. I got less than $10 in this whole setup. That's the wire and these little insulators. So I ran it up the tree. I'm not sure how high off the ground it is. It was as high as my ladder would go. So from this ash tree, then I have it goes through this smaller maple, and then on the other side to a large maple, and we'll walk down to that end. You can kind of see it there in the screen. It's like right in here. It's kind of reflecting off the sun. So one of the things is I like it is because no one's going to know it's there unless I tell them, which is good. Neighbors will hopefully stay out of my business then too, which is good. So then it runs across the driveway, and like I said, I don't know how high it's off the ground. On this side I got a little bit higher because this tree is easier to climb, so I set the ladder up and just climbed up there, and you can see, maybe you can't until I get there, the insulator is right there. So that's off the ground pretty high now. So that end there is just tied off in the insulator, so that's actually where I started, and then I just pulled that line. So you can't even really see it. Hold that line all the way across through this tree. So what I had to do is trim a bunch of branches, and I'm sure as this tree grows I'll have issues with that, but who knows how long I'll stick with this. This is kind of just a real quick put together deal. And then it goes to that, like I said, that ash tree, and then that's the point that comes down there is where I hook it up, to the radio. Alright, so I should have a station tuned in here without the antenna plugged in, and all I do is I just run the wire down, and then I'm just kind of haphazardly tying it together into this 1/8 inch plug. Alright, so let's plug it in. So, and like I said, I don't know what I'm getting. I know that this analog needle that moves back and forth is not accurate at all, because I know of one station on here that broadcasts some sort of universal time, I think broadcasts at like 10 megahertz, and that is like more in between 9 and 10. So like I said, it's kind of off, but see if we can get this tuned in. Looks like I may have lost it. This thing is really finicky. Boy, we're picking up a lot of static all of a sudden. See, and I don't know why that is either. I'll turn it down here a little bit. No idea what that is, but according to the meter, it's really good strength. It just kind of sounds like noise. Or it's scrambled. Let's turn it down here. Well, let me fiddle with this a little bit and I'll see if I can get something to come in a little bit clearer. Alright, so I got something. I don't know what this is, but I get a lot of whatever this Spanish speaking channel is. I get this a lot, so I don't know if this is like something that's broadcast in the United States or maybe Cuba or something. Don't know what they're saying either, but that always seems to come in pretty well. So just playing around here to show that my antenna is doing something. So again, there's nothing on this station, but it's reading a 10 meter, so I don't know what that means. But if I go over and touch the wire with my bare hand, if I can find it here, you can see the meter bottoms out, so obviously grounding it out, which I'm doing here, if I can get a good ground. Oh, there I go, I'm touching the snow now. Yeah, so and I don't know, I don't know much about this. I don't know about the grounding. I'm sure there's probably some sort of transformer or something that you need, a special resistance to get the optimal performance. I know there's something too with, it works better at night supposedly, although for me it seemed to always work better during the day. Yeah, see, there's that again. I don't know. Oh, the part that kind of frustrates me is that I can't get that universal time broadcast, which is it's broadcast out of like somewhere in Colorado. I don't understand why that doesn't come in. Alright, so as you can tell here, if you look at this, the signal meter, I'm getting full 10, got basically no static, so for some reason throughout the day, get a lot of static. I'm assuming I'm at the 10 megahertz, because like I said, it's in between the two, which I don't believe that station broadcasts. And I think this is like Fort Carlson maybe, that broadcasts this universal time, is what it's called. So they'll do a little, I think it takes about a minute or so, or every minute they do a broadcast of the current time or something like that.
At the tone, 1 hour, 40 minutes. Coordinated universal time.
So and that's just what it does. So every minute it goes through, but if you listen to that, that's basically crystal clear compared to what it has been. Like that's impressive.
At the tone, 1 hour, 41 minutes. Coordinated universal time.
So anyway, the other thing I was going to say that I forgot to mention, my wire that I have strung between the two trees is about 120 feet. It might be a little less than that. It's somewhere between 110 and 120. We did a real rough measurement because I wanted to make sure that I had enough wire, and I had 250 on the spool, so more than enough. But I'm just going to scroll through the band here and see if we can pick up anything else. Holy cow, a lot of stuff. No idea what that is. You know, that's the same broadcast on a different frequency.
Dialogue system and also have more better technology of understanding human language.
All cars. Why not? They try to keep their employment.
No idea what this is.
And they go deeper and deeper in debt.
Sounds like a U.S.
And so
broadcast,
this part
though.
of our generation.
Yankee Whiskey 4
This sounds like some sort of ham radio transmission.
I got you 49 also 49 both ways. And you got a pen and paper ready. Left, those list number is 10023
de San Anselmo, arzobispo de Canterbury
Not sure what
y
this
doctor
is.
de la Iglesia.
CHU, Canada. Coordinated Universal Time. 1 hour, 48 minutes.
1 heure, 48 minutes.
I'm not sure what this is either. Kind of sounds like what they call number stations, but I don't know, it's not broadcasting any numbers, just noise.
It was, half open, sitting open on a desk or a bench, and not having any room to work here. So we're going to tackle these one at a time, and then probably start selling some things too.
So
But I am interested in this SX28. How
looks like we got ham radio transmission here. Looks on the lower band of the
or maybe on the
SW.
heels of that, the SX32, which is very similar to the SX28, except that it does not have the bass boost.